This is the second in a series of short presentations that deal with some of the myths that exist in current day risk management. The sole purpose for managing risk is to improve decision making so that it makes it much more likely that our subsequent actions will contribute as much as possible to the achievement of our goals and objectives. There really is no other purpose. And yet some in the risk management profession seem determined to make what is a quite simple and useful approach much more complex and opaque. This series of presentations seeks to demonstrate how confused and confusing is the way many in our profession explain how we should manage risk. This myth is concerned with having different approaches to managing different types of risk, even using different language. And this myth underpins silo thinking that leads to confused and inconsistent decision making. Silo thinking is both inefficient and can lead to risks not being discovered, properly understood, or correctly treated when required. And at the end, risk is risk. There are not really different types of risks. There may be different types of consequences, but risk is risk. Even though we might sometimes find it useful to characterise risk by concentrating on one type of consequence, one type of risk source, or one type of control, risk is still risk. Silos persist in some organisations because two reasons. Those accustomed to run in the silos can be protective of their sphere of influence, knowledge and status, and therefore resist change. Or the technical specialisation of the silo is defined by the expertise needed to understand the risks being managed by those in the silo. There can be good reasons to group expertise, but for the effective management of risk across all organisations, there has to be a common language, common reporting mechanisms, and the same risk criteria. These, therefore, are the solutions. You must have a common language. You must report risks on a common basis, and we should have the same risk criteria. After all, the risk criteria reflect the organisation's attitude to risk or appetite to risk and are derived from the outcomes for its objectives. You cannot have separate risk criteria for separate silos. Transitioning from an existing silo-based approach to managing some forms of risk to one involving a fully common system, or even modifying the approaches within a silo, requires careful planning and execution. This cannot be achieved overnight because people will resist the change and it will not take place. The change has to be mandated by the governing body through senior management with clear communications and clear consultation about the benefits and the implications of the change. In other words, there has to be an explicit management of change process that everybody agrees to before this can be successfully concluded. Thank you.